One of the problems with trying to make amps look really pretty on YouTube is when you own a black Labrador puppy and her hair gets everywhere. Everywhere. I don't keep the amps on the floor either. Anyway, the correct length standoffs arrived and have been installed. When I ordered them the first time, I must have just misclicked in the drop-down box because I got ones that were too long. These are correct, and the boards are mounted, and everything's pretty. Pots and jacks in place. I've got the shielded wires already done from the input jacks and the volumes. Shiny new almost everything, ready to be wired up. This reissue power transformer has got a shared ground for the HT center tap and the bias negative, which is not my preference. I would usually ground those separately, but these reissue amps rarely have any issue with hum, so I'm sure it'll be fine. And the transformers in these are actually quite good quality, so no need to change just for the sake of change. Let's see, back here, new fuse holder, new power and standby switches mounted almost flush to the chassis so they don't poke out. I'll hide the garbage can from the video, though I do use a garbage can. I'm a relatively clean guy. Reuse this existing jacks here, here, and here. There's nothing wrong with them, though I got all the old wire and solder off. New RCA jacks because the old ones were underneath the board. And a mids pot for this channel. I almost said the vibrato channel, but both channels will have vibrato and reverb in this, just done without the noise floor of the 68 Custom, where Fender did it the absolute worst way you could possibly do it, of course. So we'll have all that, but it'll be quiet. Mids pot, the ones I ordered, they're all audio taper, but the ones I got were about 22% taper, and I wanted 10%, so I've got some others that'll be here maybe later today, maybe tomorrow. Anyway, that's an easy thing to do. So the next thing for me to do is to do all the wires that are going to go from the board to the pots on both sides, and all the wires that will connect on the underside of the board. And then I can put the board back in place and then connect to the pots and the tube sockets and all that fun stuff, and to and from switches. One thing I did on this that I would not do on a from scratch Deluxe Reverb, or at least not in the same way, is because of the existing wires that Fender has and the existing wire lengths of the transformers I had to work with, where they had quick connects on the board for a whole bunch of connections, I've put in turrets. So I've got a bias connection turret. I've got turrets where the wires to and from the choke will go, and the HT center tap is connecting here. I put the turret in for that. I actually connected it here on the standby switch, which is electronically the same in the circuit. So that turret I can remove from future builds. And again, standby connections here on turrets. Didn't have to do all this. It makes the final assembly easier. And if the amp ever needs to be serviced in the future, all the transformer connections will be to the tops of these turrets. You don't have to lift the board to disconnect a transformer. You don't have to lift the board to disconnect the standby switch or the choke. It just makes things a lot easier for future techs. So this is very much because I was starting with the 68 Custom Deluxe Reverb, and that would be the same thing if I started with the 65 reissue. It's the same board and the same construction on both. So this is my nod to the realities of reusing their layout and wire. On the next one of these you see me do, which I'm doing from scratch with my own iron and my own chassis and all that fun stuff, this will be a little bit different because I don't have to adapt to existing wires, but this is a good solution, I think. And I've got a couple connections that they didn't have to make it easier to connect some vibrato stuff and have it quieter than in most stock ones from the 60s, where the signal routing is not ideal. But anyway, it's enough yapping about this. I got a whole bunch of wires to connect. And certain things like this, when this is in place, this wire will be much shorter. It'll go right here. I just left it long for now. Like the reverb wires are going straight to these RCA jacks, and the blue is going here, and this foot switch will be wired a little bit differently than in stock form, which will do a nice trick on the reverb, which I will show later. But I just said enough yapping, and this time I mean it.